Oh, it's you again. Now, listen, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember what happened last time? Oh, I remember what happened last time. Us lot, we absolutely trunched your lot. Now listen, I'd get this thing going if they don't want any trouble with me, the mighty the Mosasaur, eh? Oh, now, hey, oh, wait, no. You can see bottom of this fabric screen in the back there. It's not a very good skate, but it's best I've got. Let's get into the video. How's it going, everybody? It's your Mosasaur Prince Steel Tethysaurus Yorkshire, and yeah, I've got my hair down again because I've just been in the bath, swimming around, you know, like a Mosasaur regularly does, you know, just breaststroke, I guess. But anyways, but yeah, so lay my hair down. But also, I just want to remind people about, and also, be there. But anyways, I thought I'd go over a bit of an interesting video today. So I thought I'd go over an interesting topic sort of towards the beginning evolution of the Mosasaurids. So this is just past the point where mosasaurs are getting into the water and they've just got those hydropedal limbs, you know, the paddle-like limbs. Because they encountered the top predators of the Cretaceous Sea at this time. And that was the Pliosaurs. So what's going to happen when a Pliosaur meets a Mosasaur? So let's delve into that. Let's establish a couple of things. First, let's establish what a Pliosaur is. Now, a Pliosaur, like this fella here, is a marine reptile that's part of the same family as the Plesiosaurs, the Sauropterygians. The Pliosaurs are a type of plesiosaur. They're called Pliosaurid plesiosaurs, and they're typically known for having, one, a very large head, a very small neck, and some big bodies, with particularly the back flippers being slightly bigger than the front flippers. It's basically sub-equal flipper size. Now, Pliosaurs, they existed from about 205 to 89 million years ago, so from the Triassic to the Turonian, so in the Cretaceous period. These were massive animals. Some of the largest examples could get up to 10 meters, but we have evidence of animals that could be up to 14 meters, so we're pushing that size of that 25 meter male from Walking with Dinosaurs, you know, the Pleurodon, you know, the one that didn't actually really exist. So yeah, Pliosaurs were monstrous creatures, very, very big monstrous creatures, and they ate everything. We've got evidence of Pliosaurs eating plesiosaurs, ichthyosaurs. We've even got evidence of them eating dinosaurs. There's actually a scoot of a dinosaur, an armored dinosaur, found in the roof of a Pliosaurus. Madness, but probably scavenging anyways. But yeah, the weapons they had for that were these giant teeth. Now, this is the tooth from C-Rex from Kimbridge, from Steve Etcher's collection. If you've not been to see that, just go and have a look at that skull. It's amazing. But yeah, some wicked weaponry, some dangerous daggers, if you like. So Pliosaurs, they were really packing a lot of weaponry. Next up, we've got the better marine reptiles. And if you don't like that, then I'm terrible at it. But anyways, the Mosasaurs, which were marine swarmate reptiles that existed from about 94-ish, the Mosasaurids, I should say, the Mosasaurids, about 94-ish to 66 million years ago. So those guys saw the big boom in the end of the Cretaceous period. But yeah, typically streamlined body with a bilobate tail, and most of them had the plesiopedal paddles. So the paddles like this, you know, these fellas with plesiopedal? I meant to say hydropedal. I do apologize. But yeah, very similar to Pliosaurs in a way, but there's a lot of differences, particularly with the skull, the anatomy of the vertebrae, and just the locomotion that they had. They didn't use their flippers for their locomotion, they used their tails, so not like Pliosaurs. Again, these animals could get up to 10 meters in some of the largest animals, but there are evidence of even bigger animals than that. Maybe Mosasaurus hoffmanni, for a particular example, could reach up to 14 meters, which is possible, but the evidence isn't strong enough there. But these guys were packing some big weapons as well. This is a replica of a Mosasaurus hoffmanni tooth, and you can see it's a bit of a big weapon. Now, it's not as big, as you can see, the crowns aren't as big as on the Pliosaur, but still, they could do some decent damage, and they've done some decent damage to other mosasaurs, sharks, plesiosaurs, turtles, and a whole host of other animals, including oysters and fish. So the mosasaurs weren't messing about either. Now, what I need to preface before we really get into this topic is that we have no direct evidence of mosasaurs and pliosaurs actually interacting with each other, but we found localities where mosasaurids and pliosaurs are actually found in the same area. So there had to have been some interaction, it's just we've not found it yet, but that'd be an exciting battle to find. But for the majority of the time, mosasaurs didn't actually really have the upper hand. So for example, we're going to go back to the Moroccan Akrabu Formation about 93.9 to 89 million years ago. And this is where we find Tethysaurus, love you, baby. And Brachiochenius, the big pliosaur, one of the final pliosaurs. So Tethysaurus was about 3 meters to 4 meters in length, sort of had a plesiopedal, hydropelvic body, so those land hands, jazz hands, and that sort of marine adapted hip. And you've also got a small skull and small teeth. So this animal was going after like fish and the odd ammonite here and there. But it wasn't going to be able to compete with Brachiochenius, which could have a size of up to 9 meters in length. So that's about, a crocodile versus a bus. That's what we're dealing with. So Tethysaurus probably wasn't competing with Brachiochenius directly. Maybe competed with some of the juveniles, but for the time being, they had the numbers advantage because Mosasaurs seem to give birth to more live young than Pliosaurs did, possibly, So ecologically, Brachiochenius was top predator. Tethysaurus had the numbers. So that's where we're starting with. Now, slightly within that time zone as the Akrabu Formation as well, we have the Czech Republic Mosasaur-Pliosaur assemblage. That's in the Bohemia Basin. Now, the animals here are ranging from about 93.9 to 91 million years ago. There's Tethysaurian remains in there, but they're very, very scant, very, very fragmentary. But these animals probably were very similar to Tethysaurus, so a lot of the attributes that I mentioned about Tethysaurus can apply here. But there's also the evidence of a defunct, a genus that's very similar to a defunct genus of pliosaur that we call Polycotylodon. And it's a new Unduvian, unfortunately. Prognathodon. But likely about 7 meters long, so a bit smaller than Brachiochenius, but maybe the medium-sized pliosaurs weren't competing as much with the Tethysaurs, but maybe the Tethysaurs being in a slightly different size range, maybe they were competing. Maybe, 7 meters versus 4 meters, potential there. But then again, bear in mind that a 7 meter pliosaur could probably bite a 3 meter, 4 meter Tethysaur in half. So I wouldn't advise it. Now this is the interesting bit. So we're going to jump over to the Carlisle Shales in Kansas in America. So we're going to see the Mosasaurs and Pliosaurs over there, though. These date to about the Middle Turonian, so about 91.5 to 90.7 million years ago. We've got evidence of Cladastes-like and Plioplatycarpine-like and Tylosaurian-like. So these were probably the first examples of Cladastes, Plioplatycarpines, and Tylosaurs, which is basically what I've just said in the previous sentence. Hydropedal, hydropelvic mosasaurs. So they had flippers. They had high five. They had flippers. But the largest example is probably a Tylosaurian that measured about 3.2 meters according to a paper, but I've measured another example that probably means 4.7 meters, so these were getting maybe 5 meter long mosasaurs potentially. But in the same locality, we have a possible Megacephalosaurus, which was a big pliosaur, about as big as Brachiochenius, robustly built with those robust teeth. Now, because we have a jump in size in the mosasaurs, so we're jumping to animals that could be between 4 and 5 meters in length, and they are more acrobatic because they have those hydropedal, limbs. They put up more of a competition with the pliosaurs, but again, there's no direct evidence that these animals ever fought. Now, if you've got these hydropedal, hydropelvic mosasaurs moving in on the pliosaurs' territories, that's when the pliosaurs are going to feel the competition a bit. So now we've come to the point where pliosaurs go extinct. The question is, were mosasaurs involved? And I tell you what, we have no idea. Now, the facts we do know about pliosaur extinction is that when the pliosaurs went extinct, the large mosasaurs started to really appear. So now we gain your 7-8 meter long Tylosaurus napoleonicus examples for showing up. Competition with juvenile pliosaurs with mosasaurs possibly was a factor in there. But pliosaurs did start to go into decline after the Cenomanian-Turonian boundary event, which was an oceanic anoxic event that happened around, that boundary around about 93.9 million years ago. And also, there's a paper, that one, that suggests that polycotylids were also involved with the competition with pliosaurs. So, we're not entirely sure that mosasaurs had a hand in killing off the pliosaurs. Now you're wondering, what's Tethysaurus yorkshire been running? Well, if I had it my way, we would have absolutely wiped out the pliosaurs. But in true scientific judgment, we need more data. And I actually think that the data, personally, will point to environmental factors posing the extinction on pliosaurs and mosasaurs slowly moving in to fill those niches. But then again, pliosaurs, you're not as good as mosasaurs. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you have a lovely day. See you later. Ta-ra.